The film opens with a taxi driver named Seok helping a woman bust her cheating husband. When they arrive at the hotel, the woman steps out and catches her husband and his mistress red-handed. He starts pulling the girl's hair and Seok tries to stop the woman from behind. However, the depressed woman accidentally presses herself against Seok while fighting and secretly gets turned on. She pretends to attack the girl multiple times just so she can continue to get more happiness. Damn, that's a quick turn of events. After she feels happy enough, she leaves, and Seok follows her back to the taxi. During this time, Seok's brother-in-law, Bong, is seen with a girl in cooking class. She tries to flirt with him, giving obvious signals, but the innocent man doesn't take the hint. A man gotta get his Riz game up. After that class, the girl tries to invite him back to her place, but the clueless man unintentionally refuses his classmate's flirtatious invitation and tells her that his taxi driver brother-in-law, Seok, is about to arrive to pick him up. However, when Bong goes to meet Seok, he's shocked to see a young girl hopping into his cabin smooching with him. Seok then abandons his brother-in-law and drives away. At night, he returns to pick up Bong and apologizes for keeping him waiting. On their way back home, Bong confesses that he didn't like what he saw earlier and doesn't like the fact that he's cheating on his sister. Seok, in his defense, says that he can't help himself but fall for young and lively girls. This, of course, upsets Bong. As the two men reach home, Seok's wife, Dam-deok, notices eyeshadow makeup on his hand. Instead of lying, Seok openly reveals that he had been hooking up with another girl. However, his wife thinks he's joking and assumes he was just out playing snooker. Seok then tells Bong that they should play snooker again soon, lying that he was out with him the whole time. A shocked Bong tries to reveal the truth about the affair, but Bong's wife, Mi-young, notices the same dirt on his hand and gets mad at him for lying. It's then revealed that Seok had tricked Bong into touching some eyeshadow in the car. Later that night, Mi-young tells Bong that she wants to have a baby, and even though he isn't too keen with the idea, his wife somehow manages to force him to hold hands with her. The next day, Seok and Bong unite again while doing some house chores. Bong tells him that he had lost his spark in his marriage and is asking him for advice. Seok tells him the importance of having affairs outside to keep the spark alive in a marriage. But of course, Bong doesn't take that advice to heart. That night, Bong goes to a snooker club after much persuasion from Seok. When Seok shows up, he tells his brother-in-law that he's called for a girl to spend time with him. Bong gets upset as he doesn't want to cheat on his wife. However, in the midst of their argument, an attractive young girl named Jenny shows up at their table and picks up a stick to play with them, while every other man in the club starts staring at her. An angry Bong refuses to play and goes to sit down. While Seok and Jenny start playing, Jenny purposefully faces herself toward Bong as she takes her shot, seducing him in the process. Things start to heat up when a waitress passes by and mistakenly spills a drink all over Jenny. Bong sees this, but being the good man he is, he takes off his coat and covers her with it and leaves. A little while later, Jenny comes out and starts talking to Bong while he's waiting for Seok to come out so they can go home together. However, Seok ditches Bong once again and speeds away with Jenny in his taxi. Bro, seriously, stop hanging out with him. The movie then cuts to their family restaurant, where the chef makes Bong an Italian noodle dish. Bong finds it distasteful and starts suggesting bringing in Chinese cuisines to save their dying business. Mi-young hears this from behind the counters and picks up a fight with Bong. She wants to run an Italian restaurant, where Bong wants to bring his roots back by turning the menu into Chinese. After the argument, Mi-young leaves. That night, Jenny shows up at the restaurant minutes before closing time and gets Bong to prepare a Chinese meal for her, which she loves. The two get into a conversation and realize that they have a lot in common. Before leaving, Jenny reveals that she's had a crush on him and wants to hold hands with him. She then walks away, leaving Bong shocked. In the next scene, it's revealed that Bong had finally given up on his faithfulness and held hands with Jenny that night. Yeah, right, he put up a big fight there. As he heads home, he gargles some water to hide any evidence that may have lingered in his mouth. He gets home and pretends to be drunk and quickly heads to the room. When he goes to the bathroom, Mi-young notices perfume on his sweater and also finds some indecent clothing of another woman. She goes to question him about the undergarment, but Bong makes up a lie, saying that it belongs to Seok, who had hooked up with a girl the other night and had borrowed his sweater. Mi-young tells that to Dam-deok and gets Seok kicked out of the house. Bong goes to find Seok to apologize. Seok tells him that he needs to be more careful when cheating, but Bong tells him that this was the last time he was going to cheat on his wife. Seok then convinces him once again to start having affairs, as it would help his marriage, and this time, Bong agrees to it. The next day, Seok goes to find Jenny in her yoga class and returns her clothing from last night and asks if they can hold hands here right now. A man's not wasting any time. However, Jenny declines that offer by saying she's seeing someone now. Back at the house, Dam-deok discovers that her husband had gifted her an expensive handbag as an apology for his sin. She happily wears this bag and goes to the market to get some ingredients to make his favorite dishes. However, on her way back home, she accidentally gets hit by a bus and passes away. This tragic news devastates Seok, and he soon starts having trouble sleeping and loses all will to meet other women. Seok also becomes an alcoholic and confesses to his sister that he's ashamed of cheating on his wife and regrets it. On the other hand, Bong makes his affair with Jenny official and starts seeing her often. He lies to his wife that he's going for tennis lessons in order to justify his constant outings. Yeah, playing tennis, okay. One day when Bong and Jenny were having a passionate moment in his car, Jenny's foot mistakenly releases the handbrake and this causes the car to crash. Fortunately, none of them get hurt. On their way back, Jenny says that she's happy that his car got destroyed, as he now has a reason to buy a bigger one. However, Bong confesses that he's actually pretty poor and doesn't have any money. She tells him that all he has to do is make his delicious Chinese food and start serving it in his restaurant. But he reveals that the restaurant is fully owned by his wife and he has no say in it. Jenny then tells him to make his family some of his food, instead of just asking them for permission in order to convince him. The next day, Bong takes Jenny's advice and makes him a feast. His family instantly falls in love with his food and lets him reinvent the entire restaurant. Bong starts pouring his heart into this restaurant and soon builds a reputation. The restaurant becomes popular and they start making some dollar bills, y'all. And Bong can be seen driving his mistress around in a fancy new car. One day, Mi-young shares with Seok how happy Bong is these days. However, Seok finds it suspicious and soon concludes that Bong is still having an affair with Jenny. Seok confronts Bong at night and tells him not to hurt his sister, but Bong reminds him that it was his idea to begin with and goes inside. He surprises his wife with a birthday gift and a cake. As Mi-young opens that gift, Bong gets a text from Jenny telling him she's outside his house. Bong becomes scared and makes an excuse to take out the trash to see her. Outside, Jenny takes off her coat to spark some passionate moments, but worried Bong doesn't entertain her and indirectly tells her to never come near his house again and keep their affair a secret and leaves. Now, this doesn't sit right with Jenny. Looks like my man's in trouble. The next day, Jenny goes to the restaurant and talks to Mi-young. Bong becomes worried and thinks Jenny's gonna expose his sins, but when his wife comes into the kitchen, she tells Bong that a sweet girl named Jenny had come to find a job here. Mi-young ends up hiring Jenny as a waitress and also pays her extra to be the housemaid at home, as Mi-young feels Seok could use her company. Soon, Jenny gets close with the family, and Bong isn't too happy about it. During work, she looks for chances to get close with Bong, and this upsets him even more. After their shift, he goes to confront her and asks what she wants from him. She tells him that she loves him and starts seducing him. Mi-young soon comes out and calls her husband to ask about his whereabouts, but he lies and says he's at tennis. Bro's playing aight. The scene then cuts to Seok, who's gone to his wife's grave to give some roses. However, he notices that there's already tulips there. He quickly rushes home and goes through his late wife's personal stuff and finds out she was also having an affair with another man when she was alive. The next day, Seok stalks his wife's secret lover, who happens to be blind, at the grave and decides to attack him with a bat. But before he can hurt him, the blind man starts sharing that his wife knew about his affairs and had chosen to cheat on him too because she felt lonely. He also informs him that his wife likes yellow tulips and not red roses and tells him he was a pretty bad husband for not remembering her likes and dislikes. Seok has a breakdown and leaves the place without hitting the lover. In the next scene, Bong and Seok can be seen drinking. Seok confesses the guilt he's feeling for his late wife. This causes Bong to feel bad for his wife also. When he returns home, he finds out that Mi-young is pregnant and he decides to be loyal to his wife from now on. However, the next day, it's revealed that Mi-young is actually also having an affair with her chef at the restaurant. She tells him that their relationship is over and tells him to stop harassing her, but he doesn't stop and ends up blackmailing her. So with no choice, Mi-young decides to ask her brother for help. Seok goes to find this chef and threatens to crash the car they're in order to get him to leave his sister. After hours of almost crashing the car, the chef agrees to back off Mi-young. Later that night, Bong meets up with Jenny to break up with her, but Jenny tells him that she can't let their relationship end like this and has given hints to Mi-young to come find him. She tells him that if his wife doesn't arrive, she would leave him alone in peace, but if she does, it'll be another story. Mi-young soon arrives at the restaurant, and Bong quickly goes to hide underneath a table. A surprised Mi-young asks Jenny what she's doing here, and she tells her that she's with her boyfriend. The two soon talk about Jenny's secret boyfriend with Bong, begging his mistress to not expose him. And then suddenly the waiter says, "Hey, there's a man underneath the table." Mi-young goes to check it, but Bong manages to narrowly escape, and before he can leave, he's stopped by Seok. He tells Bong to confess his sins, but he begs for one more chance. Showing Bong pity, Seok decides to pretend to be Jenny's said boyfriend and lies to his sister. Mi-young is relieved with this reveal and heads back home. After she leaves, Seok convinces Jenny to not expose his brother-in-law, and she agrees. At home, the couple hug each other tightly, and the movie ends. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this recap, please be sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video.